In recent years, many governments have introduced policies described as expanding rights, increasing inclusivity, or protecting vulnerable groups. On the surface, these policies look progressive, compassionate, and socially responsible. But beneath that polished surface hides a quieter, deeper transformation, a steady transfer of authority away from families, especially parents, and towards state institutions. Strange how freedom always seems to come with more paperwork. This shift rarely announces itself loudly. It does not arrive with sirens or bold headlines. Instead, it moves slowly, quietly, and subtly, exactly the way deep structural changes have always been implemented throughout history. When you make dramatic changes quickly, people resist. But when you make them gradually, inch by inch, they unfold before anyone notices. The promise of new rights, or the disguised erosion of old ones. Many laws surrounding gender identity, youth autonomy, and personal documentation are presented as granting more freedom. But in practice, they may reduce the influence of the people who know a child best, their parents. What does it mean when institutions, not families, determine what information goes on a child's official records? What does it mean when systems encourage children to make adult decisions independently of their parents? While those same systems limit what parents can know or influence. At first glance, these policies are framed as empowerment. But empowerment for whom? The individual, or the state that now becomes the arbiter of identity. If empowerment means parents need a permission slip to parent, maybe we've lost the plot. This is where the illusion sets in. You believe that you're gaining rights. But the rights that matter most, the right to guide your child, the right to make decisions as a family, the right to hold authority over your own household slowly weaken. The shift from parental rights to state authority. When governments step into areas previously handled by families, a quiet reordering happens. The state determines what information is appropriate for parents to know. The state decides which decisions a child can make without parental input. The state controls which personal details on legal documents are changeable, and under what conditions. The state sets rules for identity, healthcare, schooling, and documentation that bypass or minimize parental involvement. Piece by piece, authority migrates upward. Gravity works both ways, but in politics, it only seems to pull power up, never down. This is not accidental. Once parental authority weakens, state authority naturally grows. And the very people who believe they are winning more personal freedom may ultimately find themselves more regulated and more dependent on bureaucracy than before. Indoctrination through normalization, the slowest and most effective method. No society rewrites norms overnight. The most effective method has always been gradual indoctrination through normalization. How do you change beliefs? You don't force people to abandon them. You simply present the new belief as reasonable, compassionate, and modern, and over time, those who disagree begin to look outdated, controversial, or even dangerous. It's not brainwashing if you call it modernization, right? Once that shift in perception happens, resistance becomes weak. People begin to police themselves. They self-censor, they self-correct. Congratulations, you've just outsourced control to your own conscience, free of charge. At that point, control is no longer enforced from above, it is internalized. The pattern throughout history, fantasy first, reality next. Societies have always been prepared for radical changes through storytelling films. TV shows and fiction often portray extreme scenarios, futuristic governments, identity manipulation, engineered social systems, and audiences accept them because they're just entertainment. Yesterday's science fiction is today's policy manual, and nobody even asked for the sequel. But what happens when elements of those fictional stories quietly become policy? When what was once a plotline becomes legislation. When what was once framed as an impossible future becomes normalized in the present. It's not about one law. It's about the cumulative effect of dozens of laws, policies, and cultural shifts that appear unrelated until you step back and see the larger structure forming. The real question, are we gaining freedom or losing it in disguise? A society that promises new rights but removes the foundational rights of parents is not expanding liberty. It is reshaping where authority comes from and who holds final responsibility for the next generation. That is the heart of the issue. If the state has more say over a child's identity than the family does, who truly holds the power? If institutions teach children that the state understands them better than their parents do, what kind of future is being built? If families lose their foundational authority, what replaces it? These are questions every society must answer before it is too late. Because once parental rights are gone, they rarely return. Because once parental rights vanish, they don't come back with a reboot or a director's cut. And unlike movies, there's no sequel where the parents win in the end.